And we are live. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Say hello to the team. We are coming at you live today with our best tips for setting New Year's goals. So, while this year might look a little different than others, and 2021 probably will as well, there are still some tips that are pretty broadly applicable for setting goals that you'll actually be able to achieve and feel really, really good about. Quinn, you want to start us off?
Sure. I think my number one tip for setting goals is to be realistic. If you set a goal that's kind of way out of your current ability, you're never gonna reach it, and then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So that's my advice. Set a goal that is attainable for where you're at, wherever you're starting at, because wherever you're starting at is fine. Like, you don't need to feel pressure like you need to be starting somewhere better. Just start where you are, and then you'll actually be able to do it.
For sure. Yeah, if you haven't read anything in a year, maybe don't start with 2 books a week, right?
Yep.
Right.
Awesome. Speaking of reading, Connor, you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I guess I'll preface by saying this year's resolution for me, 2020's, was kind of similar to what Quinn's line of thought was, where it's being realistic. I do read a lot, but I didn't read every day. So my resolution was to read every day, but I thought it was important to not make it a job. So I just told myself I could read any amount. So sometimes I'd pick up a book and read like 5 pages. Sometimes I'd read 50. Sometimes I'd literally read like a singular page. But the idea was just to read every day to make a habit of it. So I guess I was thinking the phrase that is try to focus more on like making it qualitative than quantitative, because it's not necessarily about the numbers. It's more about like how quality the resolution is and the output. So maybe if it's exercise based, don't say I had to exercise 2 hours a day. Try making it more qualitative, like I'm going to focus on just running today. And however long I can do that, I'll do it.
Yeah, I love exercise, and I don't think I could do 2 hours a day. That sounds like so much.
That sounds rough. And not too many people have time for 2 hours of exercise.
That's true.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Connor. That's really, really helpful. Leah, you want to share yours?
Hey, yeah. My number one tip, which should be the case every year, but definitely more so this year, is when you're setting your resolutions, come at them from a place of kindness to yourself as opposed to seeing yourself as a problem to fix. I think we kind of come at ourselves from this position of not necessarily liking ourselves as we already are, but you're already fine. You may not feel that way, but you really just are. So come at it from a place of kindness. A lot of people make weight goals, for example. And in the 2020 year of the quarantine, one of the people that I've been talking to on a regular basis for the last few weeks is a fitness professional. That is his full-time job. And in these conditions of this year, he has still gained 10 pounds. And that's a fitness professional. So be kind to yourself and understand that you are doing a good job. My 2 top goals that I'm finalizing, but my 2 top goals right now are stand in front of the mirror every day and say, this is a good body. And the second one is do something fun every week, because I did kind of lose my sense of fun this year. And you want to reclaim having a good time in your life and not just constantly trying to fix yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so important to have grace with yourself. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Quinn?
That's such a good tip. Like, that's so important.
It really is. And it's something that I have struggled with for a lot of years.
Yeah, and I think resolution culture can kind of be toxic sometimes. Like you're not good enough, which isn't to say that growth isn't important. Growth obviously is important, but there's a difference between growth and like
trying to become a whole new person in the new year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be complacent, but you don't want to be beating yourself up.
Yeah.
Exactly. You need to be kind. That's the most important part.
Well, I think that the most sustainable growth really has to come from a space of self-love and not self-loathing. Like if you are setting a fitness goal, it can't come from, oh, I hate this thing about my body, so I need to change it. It has to come from, oh, I want to take good care of the body I have so that I can, feel energized and feel good.
Yeah.
that gets lost in the noise, I think, a lot of the time. And it does become, you become your own improvement project.
Yeah,
Not-
like going from really struggling with, say, downward facing dog or whatnot to absolutely nailing it is its own reward.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that pose is so underrated too. Like
It
it
is.
looks so easy, and then you do it for a minute and your shoulders are so sore the next day.
I learned the difference between cobra and upward facing dog like a week ago, and upward facing dog is probably the hardest thing I have ever done.
Yeah, and I feel like every time I do upward facing dog, I sound like a bag of Rice Krispie treats, just kind of snap, crackle, popping all over.
Yeah,
It is intense, but it's so good.
it's so rewarding.
Awesome. Well, my big tip is that when you're thinking through your resolutions for the next year, don't try to tackle everything at once. And this is kind of something I got from a cleaning tip, actually, where it's so easy to get distracted and you just try and clean everything. And then you're cleaning your desk, but then you remember you need to put this away. So you put that away, and then you see that cabinet's disorganized, and you just kind of end up spending an hour cleaning and running around, and then you have nothing to show for it because you've done one or two things in a zillion spaces. And it's hard to keep track of. And so kind of in the same way, a New Year's resolution, if you have a fitness goal and a reading goal and a hobby goal and a work goal and a financial goal, and you're just kind of spread super thin, it can be hard to really keep track of and consistently achieve all of those goals. So the same ways with cleaning, maybe pick one area and focus on that. When you're thinking through your New Year's resolutions, try and pick one or two specific areas that you really want to grow in and set up your resolutions on that. So like last year, my resolution was really around developing hobbies that I enjoyed, either redeveloping them because I hadn't been able to enjoy them for a long time, or diving into them. And so for me, that looked like doing yoga more, reading more again, because I haven't been reading much since I graduated from college, and learning how to keep plants alive. And I did all of that. This next year, it's going to be a lot more focused on creativity for me, on practicing piano more, doing more of my classical vocal training again, and really leaning into more creative projects like that. And by focusing on one single category to really work on, it's a lot easier to track and see consistent projects than if you're spread across like 10 different goals.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think kind of combining yours and Leah's, it's kind of like choose something you want to do. Choose a resolution you're excited about doing, not one that you feel like you have to choose.
Yes, exactly. If you wake up on New Year's Day thinking, ugh, now I have to start doing that thing, like that's not a great attitude to go into the year with.
No, that's a terrible way to start it.
Exactly. And if you're feeling that way about the beginning, how are you going to feel after 365 days of it? Like that is just going to be rough.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your year trying to get a resolution done.
Quote of the day.
It just sounds ridiculous.
Don't ruin 2021 for a resolution. That's going on a vision board somewhere.
Yeah, and
I got the bodybuilder arms, but all my flexibility is gone now.
I mean, it's like a TV show or a book. Like if you're halfway through it and it's like really not working out for you, it's not a sunk cost fallacy. You don't need to go through the whole year like torturing yourself to achieve something that only really you care about. I think it's really important to see things through, but it's also important to not like make it some sort of like punishment.
Are you giving yourself permission to not finish the book if it's a trudge and you're not enjoying it?
I mean, if I don't like a book, I'll just drop it, which is fine. But I usually don't have to because I do research and I assume I'll like something. But yeah, I think that goes with a lot of things. Like if you're like 3 months in and you're like, I kind of want to pivot this resolution, no one's going to be like, you can't change it now. Yeah, you can still do resolutions throughout the year. It's not like just January 1st, the one day you can make a resolution.
You have to lock it in. You cannot change it.
You can't change. That's it.
And if you miss it for one day, you have failed henceforth forever. You get another opportunity next January.
Yeah, it's not like you should. And if you miss it and you still want to keep going, you don't have to just stop. You're like, oh, February 2nd, I missed it. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. It's like, no, keep going if you want to.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it feels like that whole thing where it's like, oh, like in comic strips, I feel like it's always about dieting, maybe just because that's the easiest to put in a comic strip. But it's someone eating like a donut or something. It'll be like, diet starts on Monday. Diet starts on the 1st. Diet starts next Monday. And it just keeps getting pushed off because they want to start on these major days. But yeah, like you were saying, if a goal makes you miserable, why are you doing it? Like, what is it adding to your life? And if the answer is really nothing, why not change it to something that is actually going to bring value?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to be anything like ridiculous.
Let it go if it doesn't spark joy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Marie Kondo that crap. Marie Kondo everything. That is like my life quote is just, if it doesn't spark joy, goodbye. Not worth the time and energy.
Nope, I completely agree. Yeah, you don't need to be running a marathon every day.
Like
That'd be wild if you could.
I'm literally looking, I'm like doing a bad job of paying attention because I'm looking at my resolutions and instead of looking at you guys for a minute now, just looking through here like, do these really do it for me?
I haven't actually made a resolution yet. I got 2 days to do that.
I've never edited my resolution so intensely in my entire life.
But that's a good thing because, again, you know, focusing on a few is going to make it so much easier to actually do them and achieve things that will contribute value to your life, that will spark joy, and that you can be really proud of, instead of being like, well, I completed 10% of my goals.
Yeah, and they're all coming from something that I want, as opposed to something that I feel like I should want.
Yes.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah, that I think is a huge part of, kind of like Connor was talking about, the toxic resolution culture, that well, you should want to keep a perfectly clean house. Okay, what if I don't care if I need 3 hampers to hold my laundry, as long as it gets clean at some point? Like, who cares? But, you know, what should you do? Or you should be reading all of these books. You should be checking all of these boxes. But again, if it's not actually improving your life, why pursue it?
Right.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day. I saw it on Instagram, and it's like someone talking about how it's like we need to make it like more acceptable to like have cheat days on things. I think there's like this kind of like rise and grind culture that's not very healthy, where it's like if you're not doing whatever you say you're doing every single day and you're not putting your fourth-most effort into it, then it's like you're not part of the cause. Like, don't say you're one of us. But it's like if you're like on some strict, crazy workout routine, like you can have a donut once a week if you want. Like, no, it's not, you're not like fake or phony.
Yeah, it's not perfection or nothing.
Like, yeah,
unless you legitimately hate donuts, then
unless you hate donuts,
that you do like.
Then eat a brownie instead. You know,
yeah, cupcake, ice cream.
Yeah, I really agree, especially in cultures like side hustling, or like people who will go back to the quote about how you should have 7 streams of income, which is an incredible goal. Like for sure, feel free to strive for it. But if you're literally working 7 days a week, that is not good for your heart health. That is not good for your mental health. That is not good for your relationships. Like, that is going to add up over time until you either have some kind of crisis that forces you to reevaluate, or you burn out and start having to let things go. And, you know, it's just rising and grinding every single day is not good for the vast majority of people. Like, you need a day off. You need to be able to turn off the notifications, turn off the work brain, and just chill and watch Schitt's Creek for a couple hours or something.
Yeah. I think if you can afford like to take time off, then you should, especially because like rise and grind culture, not only are you sacrificing a lot of your time now because you're just working, but you're also like taking years off the end of your life because of the stress you're putting on your body. Like, you are shortening your lifespan on both ends, basically.
I mean,
that's not healthy.
I had some record sales months this year via that exact attitude, and I am not mad about that. But you also saw me during some of those points, and I was not exactly super healthy.
I think it's just sustainability. Like, we all have moments of productivity and then laziness, where like sometimes we'll go like a full week where we just are like on it, and that's okay because like you're just in that mood.
Mhm.
But like
Kinda
it's also
grown to just
acceptable.
hate
Yeah, to
the
drop.
word laziness at this point because it's a renewal phase.
Mhm.
Mm,
I like
As long as you're, you know, coming at it with the intention of, okay, this is where I'm renewing. I am the cocoon right now. In X amount of time, I am the butterfly, and I am gonna get back on it. This is
Yeah.
butterfly now.
for behind me that's like I am the cocoon and I am the butterfly. And reverse it.
Mhm.
And then you get the caterpillar phase where you just eat.
Yeah, you eat. That's
That's the best part.
that's the best part.
Christmas and Thanksgiving were my caterpillar phase. Right now is
Yeah.
my cocoon phase. In January, I'm the butterfly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think everyone right now is like in this, you know, the last days, a couple days before the end of the year, usually everyone's cocooning.
Mhm.
I really like that now. I'm sure that I didn't make it up all by myself, but I still really like it.
I do
like
too.
Thank you to wherever that originally came from.
Yeah. I think that's really awesome. And I kind of like what you're like, it's the same. I know for me and Quinn, when we'll have an event week, like we are on, you know, it is more overtime than I've probably ever worked any other week when we're doing
Mhm.
an event. And I'm sure it'll be even more so when we're doing in-person events again. But there's an understanding that it's a crazy event week, and then the following, you know, weekend or whatever your next chunk of time off is, you are off.
You
are
temporarily die, and then you're the caterpillar again.
Yep.
A rebirth.
whatever desserts suit you, like you are taking a full-on break. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
there has to be space made for that renewal phase.
Mhm.
I'm going to eat creme brulee for productivity now.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm here for it. That sounds
Now I have
awesome.
to learn how to make creme brulee.
Do you have
Figure it
a
out.
one of the little flame torches?
We have a broiler.
There you
That's decent enough.
That'll work. All right. So to sum it up, make sure your goals are flexible, something you actually want to do, something that sparks joy, something that is from a place of self-love and not self-loathing, and within one or two categories so they're more manageable.
Mhm.
And give yourself plenty of time to be in a cocoon. Did we miss anything?
I think
No, I don't
that's
think
good.
so.
Seems about it.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. It was really awesome to get to involve you in this conversation. And drop a comment below. Let us know what your New Year's goals are, if you have them, and what your best tips are for setting goals that you can actually achieve for the new year. Have a wonderful New Year's celebration wherever you are, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.